Ready. Good evening and welcome to Ultiworld's coverage of the Steel City Showdown. We're live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for preseason college ultimate. Should be a very exciting Friday night matchup showcase game here between Pittsburgh, the defending national champions, and Penn State. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, bringing you tonight's coverage here from the beautiful campus of Carnegie Mellon. There's a concert going on. The building just over here to the side, but we're going to talk Ultimate tonight. Preseason college Ultimate, short rosters, new players, and some missing players that we might have expected to see from these teams just a year ago. Later in this pregame show, we're going to be talking to coaches from both teams, as well as talking a little bit about the matchup here. But first I want to begin by speaking with the tournament director here at the Steel City Showdown, Andrew Willig. He's also the assistant captain for Carnegie Mellon. Hi, Andrew.
How's it going, Charlie?
Good. Thanks for coming on here. I guess I want to start by talking about just this tournament, which a year ago was a small one-day round robin,
right,
and has now blossomed into what is, frankly, probably the biggest preseason tournament for this part of the country. Ohio Valley, a little bit of the Metro East, a little bit of New England teams coming down. So I'd love to hear about how the tournament got started and sort of how it's progressed so quickly to become, and have a showcase game and everything else.
So last year, the big reason why we had the round robin was we just really wanted to get the regional component, the top regional performers in our region to just get out there in the fall, see how everybody's doing. And then the point of it this year was to really kind of, like you said, make it that next level tournament where instead of going down south for these big MLC, CCCs, Fall Easterns, those are all 10 hours plus drives for all these teams. So we just wanted to make all these Northeast teams have a nice, easy tournament right at home.
All right. And so do you think that the proximity to these teams is what's helped it grow so quickly? I mean, you don't often see a tournament go from, one day and 4 or 5 teams to 24 teams, 2 days. And frankly, this is one of the most competitive fall tournaments this season. Right.
So originally we were just planning on having 16 open teams, but I was getting massive emails. RSD No Spam was blowing up about this, and everybody was so excited. So I just took that extra step, got some extra fields, and the floodgates opened.
If you're just joining us, I'm talking with Andrew Willig, the tournament director of the Steel City Showdown and an assistant captain of Carnegie Mellon. And so, what are you hoping to have this year and potentially into the future? I know that you probably won't be the tournament director forever, but what are you hoping to build, and what do you hope that this tournament can offer these teams?
Yeah, so I mean, basically what we want is we want this to be a constant fall tournament that will be able to run for years and years to come as kind of that preview into what's going to happen in the spring for all these teams up north. Usually you see, like I mentioned, Missouri Loves Company, CCCs, Fall Easterns, that's the chance for all those big names to get out there and start showing their rookies off, showing what the vets have done with club over the summer. So this is now that chance for everybody to start showing off what they got and kind of start making noise in their region.
And since I've got you here, what do you expect to see in the Ohio Valley this year?
There's been lots of roster turnover, especially with Carnegie Mellon, but with a lot of these teams that we're definitely going to see a lot more parity, in my opinion, compared to last year. So, I mean, all of these teams, especially Penn State, definitely going to make a lot of noise this year.
Penn State made it to the game to go last season, lost to Ohio there. Not a very close game, but seems to be part of what happens in college ultimate. You get to the game and don't show up, and so maybe that's a good sign for Penn State, who hopes to build on that, and they'll have a chance here in this first game of their season to show what they've got against the defending national champions. But you can't talk about Pitt this year without talking about their losses. You just mentioned it, Andrew, the roster turnover. I mean, some big names from the college game, and Tyler DiGirolamo and Alex Thorne, among others, have left this team. And a lot of people expect Pitt not to be as competitive this season. The fact is, it's still one of the premier programs in college ultimate, and the coaching of Nick Kashmarek and a lot of strong pieces that have been playing in smaller roles because of the fact that they had such dominant players at the top of their roster. We may see some of those guys, Marcus Ronnie Dropcho, Trent Dillon, step into bigger roles, Pat Earls. Trent Dillon won't be playing this evening, but we will see most of the Pitt lineup. They only have 16 players here at Carnegie Mellon for this showcase game, but Ronnie Dropcho on the roster, their star freshman, one of the top rookie pickups of the season, Jonah Wish, will be playing, and we'll hear more from the Pitt coaching staff here in a little bit later on the pregame show. So, Andrew, thanks so much for coming on with us here, and good luck this weekend. Will you be playing? Or
I will be playing. Yes, I will be playing.
All right, so you get to just enjoy the game tonight, and then tomorrow I guess we'll get things started.
Yeah, we'll get things started.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks a lot, Charlie.
So let's talk a little bit more about these teams. Pittsburgh last season had a little bit of a tough run-up to the college championships where, for a team that was expected and came into the season ranked number 1, was really expected to dominate just like they did in 2012, but frankly didn't have a great regular season. They played okay. They would get deep into tournaments, but then lose in the semifinals. And it seemed like things were just a little bit off for most of the year. But it all came together at the college championships. Tyler DiGirolamo, clearly the tournament MVP, and led the team to its second straight national championship. They dominated down the stretch. Never really had a scare. Maybe their closest game was against Oregon in the semifinals. Central Florida, who had an amazing game against Carleton in the semifinals of the college championships, simply didn't have the same game come finals, and Pittsburgh showed their experience and won a second gold. This season, it's going to be a lot tougher. They lose a lot of experienced players. They lose arguably the best player in the college game in Tyler DiGirolamo. And they have to get a lot of guys stepping up into new roles, and we may see some of those players stepping into those roles tonight. This is Pitt's first game of the fall, and so we're going to get a chance to see how their new offense is looking, who they're putting into particular positions. Of course, it's still the fall. We don't want to draw too many conclusions, but it's a great opportunity to see sort of how this team is gelling early in the season. So Penn State we'll talk more about in a moment, but at this point I want to talk a little bit more with the Pitt coaching staff, and we'll get a little bit more insight into their early season and how the team is progressing so far. It's a beautiful night here in Pittsburgh. Chilly though, probably in the high 30s. No wind to speak of. And I'm going to speak now with Aaron Watson, Pittsburgh. So give him an opportunity to put the mic on. Hi, Aaron.
Hey, Charlie. How you doing?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm great.
Thanks for coming on with us.
No problem.
I guess I want to start by asking you a little bit about how this team has looked so far in the fall. This is your first major tournament game of the season, is that right?
That's correct. We started off with a split squad tournament in Cincinnati. That was a tryout process. We had not very many of our vets playing. It was a lot of tryout players, and a lot of the guys we brought on the teams. This is our first tournament together as a squad. We're looking young and raw, but there's a lot of energy. The guys, we're really excited. We're very, very excited to get together and see what we can actually do against some other competition.
How do you go from a year and, back-to-back national championships into a year where a lot of people might look at it and say they're in a rebuilding year? I don't think Pitt takes that approach, and I'm curious to hear about what you do. You lose. I mean, we can go through the list of players that you've lost this season. We talked about it a little bit already on the pregame show. How do you ask guys to step into roles now in the fall? Are you waiting to see kind of where players fall out in terms of what they're doing offensively, defensively? Where do you stand at this point?
Well, we really don't put too much weight. We love the stuff you guys do, but we don't put too much weight in other people's expectations for us. We develop our own expectations for ourselves. And as far as the players who are coming back from last year and the new guys who've come in, everyone is working hard and has very high goals and high expectations for themselves. And we just try to give them an outlet where they can be the best players they can be. We give them the tools, we give them the resources, and just ask them to impress us, ask them to step up.
You talk about setting your own expectations. Have those really been set at this point? Are you thinking ahead to the spring at this point?
As far as our expectations for the season, we are playing this season to win a national championship. That is the standard. That's the standard that we've set, and that's the standard that we'll continue to expect of ourselves. On a more specific level, we don't have any specific goals for tournaments or for players yet. It's up to the players to define what they're going to be. If their goal is to be a starting handler on our team, and they go out and throw every day, they can make that happen for themselves. If they want to go out and be a starter on our D-line and they are, working their butt off to accomplish that goal, it'll happen.
Great. You've recently finished up your tryout process. Can you talk about some of the players who have impressed so far that you feel like have a lot of potential for this team? I know you have some pretty high-level freshmen coming in.
Yeah, well, the one guys know is Jonah Wish. He's a freshman, played for the Spinners last year. He's really impressed us with his skill and just his maturity on and off the field. Is a heady player, ahead of his time as far as just maturity and being responsible with the disc. The athlete, or the younger guy who no one will really know, that's we're just breaking into the sport of ultimate frisbee, is Dylan Tranquillo. We're pretty excited about him. He's going to be doing some cutting for us on the D-line, and we're very excited. Over the course of the tournament, he's going to get a lot of opportunities to cut, so we're pretty excited about that.
You have a pretty short roster this weekend, and I count 6 freshmen playing with you guys tonight. Are those guys going to get lots of PT? Is this going to be pretty open lines for you?
Well, we've been... We're going to get a lot of guys playing time. That's what the fall is really all about for us. It's about developing players. It's about getting them experience and getting players into roles greater than what we'll be asking them to do over the course of the season. So another player you're going to see playing a lot of points for us tonight is Carl Morgenstern. We don't know exactly what his role is going to end up being, but we're giving him a big role tonight so that he feels comfortable on a big stage, really having to showcase his skills.
Great. I'm speaking with Aaron Watson, assistant coach of Pitt Ultimate, and getting closer to the game time. Excuse me, captain of Pitt Ultimate. Yeah. You're not playing tonight?
Not playing tonight.
Okay. Will you playing this later this weekend?
I will not be playing this weekend. I'm out until the spring.
You have an injury?
Yes.
Do you mind letting people know what it is?
I have a hip injury. That's all we'll say for right now.
Okay. Aaron Watson, captain of Pitt Ultimate, on the sidelines tonight, helping out and helping some of the younger players step into bigger roles. Thanks for coming on the show, Aaron.
No problem,
Charlie. So we'll hear shortly from Penn State coach or captain, waiting to hear who's going to come on the air. Getting closer to game time here, and lots to talk about there from Pitt, we'll see a lot of them this weekend, and they are the favorites to take the tournament title this weekend. We'll be following them. You can follow along with our reporting on ultiworld.com all weekend long. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about Penn State. This is a team that a lot of people may not know much about. And they have been, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, they've been right there. They lost in the game to go to Ohio last season. They've been at the top of the Ohio Valley region since the redraw, but they've never quite been able to crack through to that next level. Last season saw some really promising results from them, especially early in the year. Queen City tune-up, they had a pretty good showing. Lots of athletes on this team. They've shown an ability to play some very good hard-nosed defense. And what we've seen in the past is just a level of rawness on offense that's made it a little bit difficult for them to stay up in close games. I think it's going to be a very good test for them to go up against a team that has a lot of experience and poise in Pittsburgh tonight. We're going to get a really good look at sort of how these teams stack up and what maybe this year's Penn State team is looking like. So, I'm going to speak now with Ben Sheridan, the coach of Penn State, and looking forward to seeing how these guys come out in this game. I think they've lost their last 3 matchups to Pittsburgh, and last win they got was in the 2012 conferences, where they beat Pitt in pool play before going on to lose in the finals of the same tournament. And Ben Sheridan, coach of Penn State, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having us out here. It's pretty exciting to be here for the showcase game on Friday night.
It's kind of cool, isn't it? Out here on a Friday night. It's a kind of a rarity in Ultimate. But we're here in this stadium, which is honestly nicer and more in a nicer setting than I expected.
Yeah, and I think the real benefit is for the people watching. It gives a nice perspective of the flow of the game, and just to see how the players are moving. Whereas sometimes when you're down on the sideline, you don't really have that opportunity as a spectator, and things sort of get clumped together if you don't know the real flow of the game.
Absolutely. We'll be talking a little bit more about the rules before we get to the first poll, in case you're watching at home and are a little bit new to the game or watching a friend or family member and you want to stay in touch with just exactly what's going on. It can be a little difficult. We don't have the same kinds of opportunities they have on broadcast television to hear from the observers. But Ben, I want to talk a little bit about this Penn State team. You guys have pretty high expectations this season, and it's been, this program has been building for the last few years, and you were right there last year. Can you talk about how you're feeling so far in the fall and, what you're hoping to get in this first game of your season?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think you're correct in that we do have pretty high expectations for this season. There's 18 returning guys from last year's team, and so a lot of them feel like they can definitely build on where they finished last year in the game to go. And I guess a description of that would be to continue with sort of the mantra of Penn State of hard grindstone defense in terms of just conditioning through the winter. And so far this fall, I don't think we've been particularly tested. The first 2 tournaments we went to, Kenyon and the home tournament, have been against some teams that aren't necessarily on the level that we want to play at in terms of getting to nationals or doing well in the postseason. So this tournament will be a good first test for the new guys on the team and for the returning vets.
Can you talk about some of the players that we should keep an eye out for? When players that are very good on smaller teams that maybe don't make nationals often don't get the same exposure that the teams that go to the finals and the deep into the college championships get. Who are some guys we should be watching for tonight and throughout the course of the season?
Right. Well, I think initially, as with most teams, the first 2 guys I mentioned are maybe the captains, in Ricky Schaefer and Marcus Thaw. Marcus played for Direwolf this past year, and I think Ricky played mixed with a club team out of Pittsburgh. Marcus is on D. He's pretty good in the air and very athletic. And Ricky is pretty solid handler and / cutter hybrid on O. So new players that have been returning are, there's a player, Graham, out of Pittsburgh, and Cody, I'm not sure what his last name is, out of Pottsville, which is sort of eastern central Pennsylvania, that I think can make a splash even though it's their first year playing college ultimate. And then in general, I think I think the best part about the team is that it's been described as a faceless army. Everybody sort of just puts their work in and does their bit, and the whole team thrives because of it. And it's not anybody's riding on 3 or 4 players. Everybody's doing the same level.
What do you hope to get out of this game?
Out of this game, I think it would be beneficial to, no matter the outset, see what it's like to play competitively against a Nationals level team. Pitt, year after year, has come out with very high athletes, very high Frisbee knowledge, and goes winning the past 2 years. So just sort of getting a taste for that level of Ultimate early in the fall can be really good to let you know what you have to do in the cold winter months, because a lot of times if you go to fall tournaments that aren't necessarily that competitive, you think that you're at a different level than where you are, and early in the spring can be a big awakening. And so I think seeing that so early in the season can really help us push through the winter and train and do what we need to do.
Can you talk a little bit about what you want to do to improve from last year's performance in the game to go? Oftentimes those are the biggest learning experiences you can have, getting right there but not quite winning that game. What do you take away from that, and what do you bring into this season, as sort of a goal to improve from that point and go forward?
Yeah, well, I think the takeaway from that game is the fact that Penn State is an incredibly tight-knit group of guys, and they'll just work as hard as anybody out there, and that's how they got to the game to go last year. And so this year, to build on that, we brought in 2 coaches, one myself and another, Jordan Stone, to help sort of fine-tune the Frisbee knowledge aspect of it, and then to add that to having incredible athletes, incredible conditioning, now add that Frisbee knowledge to sort of push them over the hump and get to Nationals.
Thanks very much for coming on the show. We're getting set for the poll here. I'm speaking with Ben Sheridan, the coach of Penn State, and this is about to wrap up our pregame show here. Appreciate you coming on, Ben.
Yeah, no problem.
This is Ultiworld's coverage of the Steel City Showdown, presented by Spin Ultimate. Just about to wrap up pregame here as poll gets underway. There is a small crowd in attendance, some folks braving the cold. It's about 38 degrees here in Pittsburgh at the moment, and lots of great early preseason college action tomorrow. We can see Penn State out on the line as well. So quickly, I'm going to talk about the rules. This is a game to 13. Each disc caught in the end zone counts for 1 point. Each team has 1 timeout per half. Half comes at 7. And this game is observed. You'll see in the picture there a man in an orange shirt. He acts much like a referee in other sports, but doesn't make active foul calls. That means that the players call their own fouls, which is largely at college tournaments. Players call everything, including their own fouls, and then in and out, whether they caught the disc in the end zone or not. But here we have observers to make things like line calls, call whether a player was in or out, and then settle disputes. If 2 players believe that one calls a foul, the other says no, it wasn't a foul, they can adjudicate that situation, which helps the games to go smoother and quicker. We're about to get set here for the poll. It's going to be Pittsburgh starting on defense. And we'll get a look and talk about some of these players as the game gets underway. See that Pitt D-line getting set. As mentioned before, Pittsburgh playing with just 16 players this weekend. And we're about to get set for the opening pull. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, bringing you today's coverage of the Steel City Showdown and this showcase game. Pittsburgh about to take on Penn State, and here's the opening pull. Disc is up, and we are underway here in Pittsburgh. See a horizontal stack here from Penn State. Penn State in white, Pittsburgh in the dark blue. See a simple man defense here from Pitt early. Penn State moving the disc pretty smoothly here. 2 handlers back. Nice break throw around to the near side. Just so you're aware, the sidelines of the football field are not the edges of the field. You can see the pylon here indicating the edge there. It's about 7 yards off the sideline. So the disc is close to the sideline there and now moves back into the middle as Penn State gets back underway. It's a great strike cut there. Big bid from both players. Just to the outside, and now they're going to go downfield. Looking to the end zone. It's going to be tipped, and it's going to float safely out of bounds. That's Jay Boyle with the D for Pittsburgh. And Boyle will pick up here, bringing it to the line as the Pittsburgh defense looks to get things started. Pretty decent offensive flow there from Penn State, but floated that disc a little too long, and Boyle able to catch up, make the play. Pittsburgh coming out in a horizontal stack as well. We see a huck from Pitt going straight up the sideline, and that is going to be too far out in front. Looking for Dylan Tranquillo, one of the freshmen that Captain Aaron Watson talked about in the pregame as being a really great athlete. They're going to give him a lot of playing time tonight, he mentioned. So we'll keep an eye on Tranquillo. Almost caught up to that disc. And we see a drop from Penn State, only about 6 yards outside the Pitt end zone. So Pitt with an opportunity for a quick break, and that could be cold hands. Pitt looking to get into the end zone, and they do. It's a score for Connor Kasmerczyk, and it's Pitt on the board first here. It's 1-0 Pittsburgh over Penn State. And all in all, decent possessions for both teams there. Penn State with the unfortunate drop, and that's often what makes the difference in these games. Both teams with turnovers on that first point. So we'll get another look at this Pittsburgh defense. Both teams running relatively open lines this evening, as most teams look to develop their younger players early in the season. These games, essentially part of the preseason, they won't count towards any kinds of playoffs. That doesn't start until January 1st in the spring. So, Pitt getting set to pull here. And Penn State will get another shot with their offense. This comes down and gets centered immediately. It's James Greeno with the disc. He'll go out to the outside. And it's going to be a huck now, but it's going to blade and turn over and roll out of bounds. Pittsburgh looks to extend their lead here. It's 1-0. Pittsburgh on top of Penn State. As Boyle, a sophomore, bring the disc to the line. Joe Bender into the middle, back to Boyle. Now up the sideline, big play, layout D in the middle of the field, and now Penn State going to go into the end zone, and it's going to be a score. The observers signal that he was in bounds, so Penn State on the board, and it's 1-1. And James Greeno, one of the stars of this Penn State team, coming down with the disc there in the end zone. Greeno, graduate student at the university. And he'll be someone to watch during this game. And we're going to get our first look at the Pitt offense and this Penn State defense. 1-1 the score here in Pittsburgh. You're watching Ultiworld's coverage of the showcase game at the Steel City Showdown, presented by Spin Ultimate. We're on the Carnegie Mellon campus. And crowd continuing to fill up a little bit as teams come into town, getting set for games all this weekend. 24 teams on the men's side, a handful on the women's side as well. Penn State preparing for the pull. And the pull is up. 1-1 the score. Pitt's offense gets its first touches. A little bit of a junk look here from Penn State. And we see a block in that loose cup at about the 50-yard line. So it's about 35 yards to go, and this Penn State team can get this game back on serve. It's Kevin Carbonier picking up the disc for Penn State. Goes up the sideline. Back to him, and miscommunication with his downfield receiver. And now it's Pittsburgh in the quick attack, moving up the sideline. Give and go movement. About 10 yards out, and now they'll go right into the end zone. And it's Jimmy Towell with the score, one of the freshmen on this Pitt squad. And it's 2-1 Pittsburgh. And that's maybe that energy that Captain Aaron Watson was talking about before the game. And this is a much younger team than it's been in the past. After they graduated some big stars this year. And we see Coach Nick Kashmerek on the field talking to his defense. And Pittsburgh not shy about talking about their ambitions. They want to win another national title. And that's the focus of their season. We heard Watson talking about how they're not interested in any particular tournament results except the final one in May of 2014. Penn State, on the other hand, looking to make it to the college championships and hoping that this game gives them a taste of what it's like to play at the highest levels. So we see the pull go up here from Pittsburgh. It's 2-1. Pitt up a break here early. More Hostak and a big huck straight off the top. And look at the speed downfield, but better defense from Pittsburgh. It's Dylan Best getting the block in the end zone past the chasing Ben Brozer. So Pitt brings it to the line. And it's going to be a big huck right away. Hanging up. A lot of players in the area. Tipped and then caught after a huge layout. Pitt looking to add another break. Bender with the disc. And he's going to look into the end zone. But it's incomplete. So Pittsburgh loses an opportunity after the big layout grab on the second effort. And Penn State will reset. Up the sideline, layout grab, fakes the huck. It's Crino, goes into the middle, and there's a call on the field. Bender in coverage there on Greeno. Great matchup. See if those two stay matched up for this whole game. They go to the observer, and the observer rules that it was not a foul. So it's going to be stalled 0 for Penn State. A little bit of stagnant offense here from Penn State. Not a lot of movement downfield. Having to work a lot through their handlers. Now they get a break throw into the middle. And now they're going to go down the field. This one over the top and into the end zone. Some separation down the field. And it's a nice play from Penn State. And it's 2-2. Pittsburgh still up a break here, and Pitt's had a couple of extra opportunities to add on to that lead, but couldn't take advantage there about 10 yards outside the end zone as the Bender pass was incomplete. And both teams looking deep early. It is very still here this evening. It's cold, but there's no wind on the campus of Carnegie Mellon here in Pittsburgh. You're watching Ultiworld's coverage of the showcase game at the Steel City Showdown, presented by Spin Ultimate. Preseason college action here in Pittsburgh. Lots of great teams from the Ohio Valley, Metro East, and New England regions in attendance. And we'll be filming games all weekend long, reporting. So be sure to stay with us. We'll also have coverage of Missouri Loves Company, another important fall tournament taking place this weekend in Columbia, Missouri. And next weekend we'll be heading down to the Classic City Classic in Atlanta. You see the poll go up from Penn State. Pitt offense looking to move quickly, but travel called. And they're going to go straight to the observer, Piers. It's Max Thorne holding the disc right now. He's expected to be one of the big stars for this new look Pittsburgh team. Already played an important role in the last 2 seasons. He's now a junior, but he's got a lot of championship experience already, despite his relatively young age. Pitt going back in the middle, and big layout. It's going to get the disc for Penn State. That was David Sellers with the D, but Penn State promptly throws it away. But I believe there may be a call on the field. Marcus Thaw. And it won't be contested, so he'll get the disc. Now move it back into the middle, but it's going to be a layout block from Pittsburgh. And so here comes this Pitt quick attack again. But this time, they'll slow down and set up the offense. Vertical stack look here, but broken coverage. And Pitt easily punching it into the front of the end zone for Thorne. And a miscommunication defensively there from Penn State, who now have watched 2 opportunities on the defensive line become quick turnovers and then easy scores for Pitt. So transition defense, an early story here. 3-2 the score. Pittsburgh leading Penn State. And all things considered, a surprisingly not so sloppy fall game here. Oftentimes you expect to see a lot of turnovers, mistakes, and it's cold, so that amplifies the difficulty of throwing and catching. But we've seen some really great defensive plays here, and perhaps that's what we should expect from the defending national champions and the 3rd place team from the Ohio Valley region last season in Penn State. Pittsburgh with the disc, getting set to pull. 3-2, the score here. Reminder, we're playing to 13. Each team has one timeout per half. You can hear from the sideline, Pittsburgh calling middle, talking to their defense, letting them know where the disc is on the field. Still tough for Penn State cutters to get open downfield. See a lot of back and forth between handlers. And there we see some contact, but no call. It's a drop. And Pittsburgh now has a chance to make this a two-break game. Swing it all the way across. Back to the middle, and now a high release backhand into the end zone. It's Bender finding Jay Boyle, and Pittsburgh takes a 4-2 lead. So a couple of small mistakes near the end zone have cost Penn State so far on the offensive side, and the defense so far unable to take advantage of their chances against this Pitt team. So the score 4-2. If you're just joining us, Penn State in white, Pittsburgh in dark blue, and this is the first game of the season for both of these teams. They have played some split squad tournaments as they work some rookies through tryouts, but this is their first tournament together as a team. And although this game doesn't matter in the bracket, won't determine who goes on to make it into the quarterfinals tomorrow, or on Sunday. Both teams playing hard here in the early going. Pittsburgh getting set to pull. Score 4-2. This is the showcase game at the Steel City Showdown. Pull goes up. Greeno moves it to the near side. Better flow here from Penn State. You can see Greeno's impact on this offense. Derek Kitely with it. Big bid from the Pittsburgh defender. Now on the outside and goes downfield into the end zone, and it's a great grab between two defenders in the end zone. I believe that was Matt Malencia with the score for Penn State. 4-3, and that's easily Penn State's best offensive possession. Good flow up the field, withstood pretty good defensive pressure from Pittsburgh, and took a successful shot into the end zone there. But their D-line has work to do. They trail by 2 breaks. 4-3 the score. And if you're new to Ultimate, another bit of terminology, a break is much like it is considered in tennis, where generally it is expected that the offense score. So if you have an offensive possession and the defense scores the disc, that's called a break. And as you could understand, the team with more breaks at the end of the game is going to win the game. Right now, Pitt has 2. Penn State has 0. Getting chillier here in the Pittsburgh evening. Clear skies. And a very crisp 36 degrees. Pull from Penn State. A shallow one, bounces and rolls to about the 20-yard line. Pittsburgh's so good at attacking quickly as they go up the far side, up that fourth sideline. And they're already 3/4 of the way up the field before the defense really even sets itself. Great strike cut. And now they look into the end zone. And Marcus Ronnie Dropcho, one of the Pitt stars we expect to see really have a great year, comes down with it in the end zone. 5-3. And Ronnie Dropcho was a big part of the team's success last year at the college championships, but often didn't get as much credit as some of his more high-profile teammates. But he was put into a prime role on Oakland, the club team that is comprised of Pitt college players, and has really showed during the club season that he's going to be a force during this college year. And you see him putting a jacket on as soon as he comes to the sideline. It's cold here in Pittsburgh. 5-3 the score. Pitt defense back out on the field. It's Jay Boyle preparing to pull. Pulls up. Disc centered here for Penn State. And now we'll go up the field, and a great defensive effort, but a better second effort followed by the drop. Almost had a excellent play, but couldn't come up with it. And now we're going to see Pittsburgh with a chance to extend their lead to 3. Boyle. Pittsburgh moving now. A lot of simple in-cuts for Pittsburgh have been successful here, making good hard cuts. Boyle goes inside out, but may have been partially hand blocked there. And so Penn State will get the disc back. 5-3 the score. It's on the near side. I apologize for not knowing all of these Penn State players' names, but true to fall ultimate form, their roster that they gave me is only about half full, so try at halftime to pick up some more of these names. But Penn State doesn't like what they see there, so they'll call a timeout with the score 5-3. Each team only has one timeout per half, so that's it for them here. We also have a hard cap on this game at 9 p.m. It's now 7:53. The lights go out at 9. You're watching Ultiworld's coverage of the Steel City Showdown, presented by Spin Ultimate. Pittsburgh with a 2-point advantage here, and both teams showing some promise and some rust. So far, I think the story of this game may be the tough defense from both teams. We've seen some big layouts, good coverage downfield. Penn State has struggled a little bit more to cover Pitt's in-cuts. They've gotten a lot of stuff open, and Pitt has played much better downfield defense, but both teams coming up with Ds, and it's been actually a couple of simple mistakes that have given Pitt their 2-break lead. As we see another Penn State turnover in their own half. And so 10 yards outside the end zone, Pitt has a chance to make their lead 3. Bender picks it up 10 yards out for Pitt. Going to the break side, and it's into the end zone. Pittsburgh scores, and it's 6-3. So despite the big layout Ds and the good downfield defense from Pitt, it's been simple throwaways and drops that have cost Penn State 3 breaks in this game. Now, of course, you could point to good Pittsburgh handler defense as a reason for those turnovers, but some of them have just been simple execution errors. It's to be expected in the fall, but Penn State has to be a little bit frustrated because they've played pretty equally with Pitt so far in this game, but haven't been able to convert their opportunities. And Pitt's had now 3 for 3 on short turns from Penn State. 6-3 the score. And in a lot of ways, this game begins Pittsburgh's title defense. Of course, it is just the preseason, but Penn State, a team that they're likely to see at regionals as they pull the disc. Pitt hoping to take it to half here. Penn State looking to get their defense back on the field. They'll take it from the far sideline. Good marks here as we see the shot go up. 2 players, and nobody can come down with it. It was 2 Penn State offensive receivers going up against 1 defender, but couldn't come down with the disc. So Pitt will look to take it to half, and they're going to try to do it the hard way, going over the top. But good defense downfield from Penn State. So back to square one for the Penn State offense. They'll pick it up near the goal line. Nice cut into space there. Now out to the sideline. They'll take the shot up the field. No defender in the area. And it's an easy score for Penn State as Ben Brosser, graduate student on this team, comes down with it in the end zone. 6-4 now. And the Penn State D hopes to get a little bit of momentum going before halftime. They don't have a break yet in this game, although they have had a couple of opportunities. As you might expect, a lot of Pittsburgh fans in attendance tonight. We are on the Carnegie Mellon campus, but right in the heart of Pittsburgh. These teams have a lot of tough games tomorrow as well, both in the power pools of the Steel City Showdown. Other top teams in attendance include Tufts, Cornell, Ohio, and a host of others. There's a large set of regular pools as well that include some up-and-coming teams, Ohio State, Cincinnati, and we'll be following that action all day long. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Ulti_world to keep up with all of tomorrow's and Sunday's action. The Penn State defense gets a good pull here. That throw not on target, but still worked. We're seeing a little bit of that junk look again from Penn State that's caused a couple of Pitt turnovers. You can see the sort of loose 5-man front and then some face guarding downfield. Now they find that hole in the middle. And that disc somehow connects. Now moving, Ronnie Dropcho with it. Dumps it back. Right back to him. You can see him playing the facilitator role there. Carl Morgenstern back to Ronnie Dropcho. This Penn State defense slowing Pitt down, but not forcing any real tough throws yet. Now Ronnie Dropcho going just near the end zone, and then Pitt will punch it in. It's Max Thorne getting it in to Jonah Wish. We haven't said his name yet, but Wish, perhaps the most high-profile pickup in college behind John Stubbs, who's playing at Harvard this season. And you see Wish there getting high fives as he scored. So early on in this season, he's playing on the offensive line. It'll be interesting to see if he stays there. Certainly Pitt's most polished rookie. And we'll keep an eye. It's halftime here in Pittsburgh. Score here at the half, 7-4. It's Pittsburgh with a 3-break lead over Penn State. We'll be back after halftime. Talk a little bit about the first half and watch a conclusion of this game. You're watching Ultiworld's coverage of the Steel City Showdown here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. 7-4 here at the half. It's the defending national champions Pittsburgh leading Penn State. Welcome back to second half action here in Pittsburgh. At the half, it's Pittsburgh 7, Penn State 4. Pittsburgh up 3 breaks after taking advantage of some mistakes from Penn State, turnovers in their own half, and Pittsburgh went 3 for 3 on those opportunities, and that's the lead that they have here. And they're set to receive here to begin the second half, looking to extend that lead to 4. It's been a good performance all around from Pitt, playing strong defense, this forced some turnovers, and more than that, they've capitalized on the mistakes that Penn State has made and showing the poise of a good program. That's what you often see from the best college teams, really able to take advantage of mistakes that the other team makes. And so often that can be the difference. As the pull goes up from Penn State, it's Pitt in blue, Penn State in white. I'm Charlie Eisenhood, and this is Ultiworld's coverage of the Steel City Showdown presented by Spin Ultimate. So we watch this Penn State offense, this Pittsburgh offense move. More of the junk look here from Penn State. Hasn't been so effective so far here. Carl Morgenstern watches his throw get blocked. It's a nice play from Sam Dell, a junior on this Penn State team. And so now it's Penn State with the short field and an opportunity to start things off with a break. Swing into the middle. Noticeably, the swings for Penn State have been so much tougher than for Pitt, and that's partly by design. Penn State's defense not looking to put a lot of pressure on the swing, but it's been on those resets that Penn State's had a lot of trouble. Now looking into the end zone, did he get in? Yes, he did. So that's Penn State's first break of the game, and they do it right out of the blocks here in the second half. Kevin Carbonier, grad student here, coming down with it in the end zone after the nice check mark cut. So now 7-5, and that's exactly what Penn State needed to stay close. Some fans still filtering in here, and you can see that the stands have filled up a bit. Impressive turnout for this 35-degree evening. Let's take a look at this Pittsburgh offensive line. See Marcus Ronnie Dropcho standing there, number 3. Pitt mixing it up a bit tonight. Not playing a consistent offensive line. Another player on that line, number 5, Pat Earls. Haven't said his name much yet, but he's going to be a star for Pittsburgh this year as well. Penn State puts the pull up. This pull lands out of bounds, so it will be centered up. Seven to 5 the score. Pittsburgh leading Penn State. Penn State just got their first break of the game as they go back to this junkier look. Really sticking to it here. A lot of defenders around the disc. Ronnie Dropcho with it now. Good fake there, moves the defense. Ronnie Dropcho right in the hole. And now there's a call on the field. Travel was called. Penn State player saying that Ronnie Dropcho rounded the corner as he caught that disc in the center of the loose cup. But the observer overrules the call, so the disc will stay where it is now on the far side. Pitt taps the disc back into play. And you can see Penn State's commitment to this defense. They don't even drop out of this D when they get close to the end zone. Ronnie Dropcho dumps it back. Penn State having a little bit of trouble unlocking the zone. Able to get lots of easy resets, but haven't had much success moving the disc up the field. Now they're looking. Good mark there from Penn State. Prevents the throw to Pat Earls downfield. There's Earls getting it on the far side. Earls is going to look into the end zone. Lefty flick. And it's caught inbounds. So that's a Pitt goal. Jimmy Towell gets his second goal of the game. And it's now 8-5. So Pitt's patient offense works through that Penn State D and eventually works into the end zone. See the value there of Pat Earls. That lefty flick after he caught it on that sideline, able to get the quick shot, a little bit of a high release into the end zone. And Penn State's offense will now have to go back to work against this tough Pitt D. Eight to 5, the score here in Pittsburgh. Pitt's had a lead since the opening pull. They got a break on the first point of the game and haven't looked back. Lead by 2 breaks now. And here's the pull. This is also going to land out of bounds, so Penn State will bring it to the brick mark. Once again, we see the same from Penn State, having trouble moving it up the field. Good Pitt man-to-man defense. Big bid there on the sideline. And now Jay Boyle stays down after that layout. Maybe landed wrong. Seems okay. Got up quickly, but is going to take one as we see Morgenstern come on to replace him. Disc is live. And it's going to be a big bid in the middle of the field, but I think we either have an injury or a foul call. And that's a great play from Dan Wickens, Pitt Jr. As we see Rick Schaefer, one of the captains of this Penn State team, get up after taking some contact there on the bid. And looks like Schaefer is going to need more than one person to help bring him off the field. Hopefully he's okay. Hate to see that, especially just in a showcase game. Team's got a lot of games to play this weekend. So we'll keep an eye on Schaefer and as they take him to the bench. So no foul call. So it will be Pitt's disc here. They have got about 25 yards to go to get into the end zone. Score now, 8-5 Pitt. Pitt moving here. Dylan Best moves it now out to the sideline, and it's going to be a shot into the end zone. And it's a great one. Wickens gets the bookend score after the big layout D. Makes a nice cut into the end zone. Comes down with it to give Pitt its biggest lead of the game. It's now 9-5. And Penn State losing their captain and falling behind. Things looking a little bit bleak right now. So their offense needing to find some ways to work through that tough Pitt man-to-man D. You have to wonder if the offense has mostly been working against that junkier look that we've seen from this Penn State defense so far. It of course presents challenges of its own, but it's a lot different to go against a loose zone than it is to go against tough man-to-man with guys laying out right past you. And we've seen that pressure translate into a lot of Ds for Pitt so far in this game. 9-5 the score. This is Ultiworld's coverage of the Steel City Showdown, live from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Presented by Spin Ultimate. Penn State offense moving here. Up the sideline. Nice cut there, and now they're go up the field and into the end zone. It's a great shot from Greeno as the observer signals that a score. And it's now 9-6. Greeno doing lots of good things for this Penn State team. So Pitt's lead cut back down to 3. And this defense will head back out to the field. And it's interesting to see if they make any adjustments away from that zone, or if they're really trying to work on that. Nine to 6. Pittsburgh leading Penn State. And 2 of the top 3 teams in the Ohio Valley region from last year. Pitt, of course, took first and then went on to win the college championships for their back-to-back title. And Penn State took third after they lost to Ohio in the game to go. Ohio's got some roster turnover of their own to deal with, and it'll be interesting to see how this region shakes out this season. But judging from this game, Pittsburgh's still on top here. It's going to be a big shot down the field. 2 defenders in the area, but a great grab from Marcus Ronnie Dropcho. Crowd loves it. And that's what he did all club season long. And shows just how versatile he is. Spent a lot of this game behind the disc, just acting as a facilitator and a distributor, but he goes down the field there and makes the big grab. And it's now 10-6. See Coach Kashmarek there, just coming off the field after talking to his team. Four-point lead for Pittsburgh here, 10-6. As the temperature continues to drop, it's down into the low 30s now. You can see the players trying to stay bundled up and warm on the sideline. Pull goes up there from Pitt. Lands inbounds. And it's going to be a quick D for Pittsburgh. But Pitt gives it right back. And Penn State now moving quickly. They're attacking, and now they'll throw the huck. And it's a sky right back from Penn State. So the offense turns it over in their own half, but gets it back and goes quickly up the field. And it's a beautiful shot into the end zone. And a nice grab to cut the lead back down to 3. It's 10-7. So Pittsburgh offense back on the field. Score is 10-7. They take a shot, but it's going to float harmlessly out of bounds this time. So Penn State with another opportunity to tack on a break. They only have one in this game. They got that at the first point of the second half. And they really haven't shown any ability to go up the field against this Pitt offensive line after the turn. So another opportunity for them to see if they can work the disc. Big bid underneath from Pitt, and they'll get it right back. So you can see another first throw turnover for that D-line. Typical challenge for college teams to get that D-line playing solid offense. Often a lot of younger players on that team, and this is what we saw from Penn State last year as Pitt punches it in. It's a score there for Pat Earls in the second. And so I was just saying, Penn State last year showed a lot of promise, has a lot of athletes, but struggled against better teams to get the disc into the end zone. You know, they lost that game to go against Ohio 15-5. And the offense is going to make mistakes sometimes. You're going to get broken, and the defense really has to be able to find a way to get some breaks as well, and that's what they haven't really been able to do in this game. As Pitt extends the lead back to 4, it's 11-7. Here's the pull from Pittsburgh. That's one of the better pulls we've seen this evening. Landing at the front of the end zone. And a costly mistake there. Didn't attack the disc. Had some separation, but the running through Pittsburgh defender made an easy play, and then a nice break throw into the end zone. And Max Thorne comes down with it And it's now 12-7. Pittsburgh on the brink of a victory in this game. Now with their biggest lead here of the game. And things started off so promisingly for Penn State, coming out of the half, getting a break on the first point and cutting that lead down to 2. But since then, it's been all Pitt as the mistakes have piled up for Pittsburgh. For Penn State, and Pitt's been able to take advantage. 12-7 on this chilly night here in Pittsburgh. When you look at these two teams, you can just see the difference in where they are, not only as a team right now in the fall, but as a program. Pittsburgh has just developed some of their older players now for 2 years, 3 years, and those guys are just playing consistent. They're not making very many mistakes. They don't have very many turnovers. And Penn State, they take a shot down the field into double coverage. A huge grab, though, but turns it over right away. Ben Brosser making the monster grab over 2 defenders. But now we have a foul call after that risky throw into the end zone from Brosser after the huge grab. And the crowd doesn't like the call. The observer is now going to confer and now make a ruling, and it is ruled not a foul. So after the outstanding play in the air from Brosser, he makes a tough decision there to try to go in between the defenders and punch it in, and turns it right over. So Pittsburgh with the disc now to win, 12-7. Flip it out to the sideline. And what a play. A monster layout D on the far side. Going up against Bender there. Jake Smith with it. Smith moves it ahead. Penn State not quite into the end zone. On the doorstep here. Moving the disc. Greeno looking into the end zone. And nearly a layout block from Pitt. But it's going to be a score for Penn State. So Brosser, after the great catch and then the turnover, ends up catching the score. 12-8 now. Pittsburgh will head back out to the line on offense, try to seal this game. Some exciting plays tonight. And I hope this is indicative of what we'll see later this weekend. Both teams showing some real promise. Notably, not a single freshman on this Penn State team, or at least no freshmen playing this weekend. Lots of juniors and seniors, as their coach mentioned before the game during our pregame. 18 returning players from last season, and so they feel ambitious and about this season and looking forward to trying to get to the college championships. And on the other hand, Pittsburgh dealing with some of the heaviest turnover at the top of the college division. But make no mistake about it, they're looking for another national title. They're trying to make it a three-peat. And they're going to start their 2013-2014 campaign here, most likely with a win, as they get set here to try to win this game on offense. It's 12-8. Ronnie Dropcho going to take a shot to the break side down the field. It's going to be contested, and a huge sky to finish off this game. What a grab from Jimmy Towell, who's had a huge game here. Towell, a freshman for this Pitt squad, and Pitt takes down Penn State here in the showcase game with the Steel City Showdown, 13-7. So the teams will line up, and I'm sorry, the final score 13-8. Some great individual performances. Towell really impressive throughout this game. And we'll be keeping an eye on him later this weekend. And for Penn State, you know, it comes down to execution for them. If they limit those turnovers in their own half, they're going to be a very good team. You can see a lot of potential. Good game from James Greeno. Nice playing for Ben Brozer as well. Didn't see a lot of Jake Smith in that game, but he's a player to keep an eye on as well. So the final score here in Pittsburgh, 13-8, as Pittsburgh comes and thanks their fans. Our coverage tonight presented by Spin Ultimate. Thanks so much for being with us. Hope you enjoyed the game. For all of us here at Ultiworld, I'm Charlie Eisenhood, signing off here in Pittsburgh. Be sure to stay tuned with us all weekend. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and keep an eye on the website as we cover the Steel City Showdown this weekend. Classic City Classic coming up next weekend, and we'll have some coverage next week of Missouri Loves Company from Columbia. Good night.